So here we are at just over 2 weeks rocking the Pixel 6 Pro. So you guys already know what it's time for. Just that initial review after 2 weeks, just to let you know how I'm liking the device. You already know 3 pros, 3 cons. I'm gonna go ahead and go over it here on the Pixel 6 Pro. But before we get into it, if this is your first time stopping by the channel, this is Ike'sTechTalk, where we cover the latest in tech news, reviews, and discussion. If that's something that you're interested in, do yourself a favor, hit that like and subscribe button down below. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So the first thing I want to get into is the design. So that is going to be the first pro when it comes to the Pixel 6 Pro for me personally. In my opinion, Pixel phones of the past haven't been ugly by any means, but they've always felt very function over form. They normally will have different features and different materials that are going to do better in terms of, say, like cell reception or just for texture, for grip, things like that. Whereas the Pixel 6 Pro, in my opinion, is a complete paradigm shift to that. Now, that's not to say that there's no function to the way that it's designed, but I really do feel like with this particular device, Google decided to literally pull out all the stop and go completely 100% overboard from anything of what they've done in the past. And it's gonna start with probably the most controversial part, and that is the camera shelf. Now, me personally, I love the camera shelf on the back of the Pixel 6 Pro. Words are hard, but I absolutely love the camera shelf on this particular device. In my opinion, the reason I think I like it so much is not because I think it looks better than anything else on the market, but because it's different, it's unique. Currently, we're seeing pretty much all smartphones have kind of similar or very close to the same camera layout in that upper left corner. Now, I don't know if they're doing that specifically because that's the best space saving measure or whatever the case may be, but I do like that the Pixel is different. It's unique. A lot of people talk about the notch on the iPhone being, synonymous with Apple's brand. When you see a phone with the notch, you know it's the iPhone, even though we all hate the notch. But regardless, I think that's what Google was going for with the Pixel. When someone's holding that phone and you see that camera bar go across the back, you're gonna know, okay, that's Google's new phone, the Pixel. So in my opinion, man, I understand people don't like it. I love it. I'm hoping that they continue with it going forward. Overall, the device as a whole just feels so much more premium than anything that, in my opinion, Google's ever done. They purchased the HTC team kind of a while ago, and I think that this really screams HTC. So just leave those guys in a room somewhere, don't let them out of the dungeon, and let them work. I can't wait to see what Google does to really iterate on this particular design going forward. Because like I said, this has to be one of, if not my favorite designs from a Google phone, period. So the next pro I want to get into is just a few of the Google features that they incorporate with the Pixel line. So I'm gonna start this off by saying it's not that I don't think other manufacturers have great features that make a difference in your everyday life. I just feel like a lot of the times that people look at Google software and think of it as very meh or boring, almost like they don't really give you any additional features. And in my opinion, they give you features. It's just that the features that they provide are things that don't look good on a spec sheet or don't necessarily speak to us tech enthusiasts in marketing, but it's actually features that would make a difference. Things like if you're in an accident, it'll automatically dial, emergency services and your emergency contact. Now playing, which is like having Shazam always running in the background of your phone so you can always know what music is playing. The super smart voice dictation has completely changed the way I've used my phone, especially while driving. So here's a little test for you guys with the Pixel 6 Pro's voice dictation. As you can see, I'm talking my normal speed, how I would normally talk. I'm not really doing any inflections or anything like that. And the Pixel 6 Pro is handling it like an absolute champ. Like I said in my Twitter post earlier last week, I was able to do 4 discussions for my school assignments, which normally take me about 30 minutes a piece to type up. I was able to do it all with my voice, in one hand carrying a fussy newborn, and on the other end, my girlfriend vacuuming the floor around me. It still picked up my voice perfectly fine. And the best part about this voice dictation, especially like here when you're trying to send a message, is this. Send. Things like that don't look great on a spec sheet. Call screen, it doesn't look great on a spec sheet. But at the end of the day, these are features that I could see myself using every day and just having them kind of in the background, like, yo, I'll just use it when I need it. It's there for me. And then from there, I'll just go about and use the phone. So my second pro of the Pixel 6 Pro has to be those baked in, I'm gonna call them googly features that aren't necessarily the sexiest or most flashiest, but they do a good job of giving you more functionality just in terms of your everyday life, things that can make a difference. And the last pro, I couldn't make a Pixel video without talking about it. It has to be this camera set. I know a lot of people are having mixed results and some people are being left to feel very underwhelmed with the camera performance on the Pixel 6 Pro, but my experience has been the exact opposite. I'm taking some of the best photos I've ever taken on any smartphone with this particular camera set. In my opinion, not only did Google really step up the game in terms of just their photo quality, they also offered a slew of additional features for you to take advantage of when using the camera. Things like the brand new 4x optical lens, or improving the ultra wide sensor to be just that little bit more wider than it was on the Pixel 5, to brand new features talking about like the brand new exposure modes, like the action pan or the longer exposure mode. Things like that, in my opinion, truly take a camera to the next level. It's one thing to offer great photo quality. A lot of the flagship smartphones currently do that. But to offer those extra features that are just fun to play around with and fun to use just takes a smartphone camera to the next level, in my opinion. Google even decided to go ahead and update the video on the Pixel 6 Pro versus what we've gotten on every other Pixel in the past. Now, you should have seen my Pixel 5 versus Pixel 6 Pro kind of comparison / first 24 hours with the 6 Pro. But in that video, I demonstrated the video capabilities between the two smartphones, and it is a drastic difference. Now, the Pixel 5, in my opinion, definitely, while not being like a top 5 or top 10 smartphone in terms of video, it wasn't terrible. It was definitely usable. But the Pixel 6 Pro, in my opinion, completely leapfrogs that and goes from being something that was usable to being a top contender when it comes to smartphone video. Out of the major players here in the States that we have, I would definitely say Google is competing with Apple and Samsung in terms of video. Now, do I still prefer the video on, say, like the iPhone, for example? I would say overall, I do prefer it on the iPhone to the Pixel. But ultimately, for Google to have made this big of a jump in terms of their video quality, and if they can continue to iterate on what they have here, I honestly think that Apple needs to be worried and needs to watch out for Google in just a few years' time. Now, the next con I gotta get into has to be the battery charging speeds. Now, Google advertised 30-watt wired charging with the Pixel 6 Pro, and I think the normal Pixel 6 has it as well. But what I've noticed is that my S21 Ultra, which charges at 25 watts, actually charges faster than the Pixel 6 Pro at 30 watts. And you would think, okay, well, it can't be that drastic. No, it's drastic. My S21 Ultra, in my experience, usually charges at, say, just over about an hour, where my Pixel 6 Pro is taking almost 2 hours to actually charge from 0 or from 3% all the way back up to 100. Now, the battery life has been so good for me that I haven't felt the need to really go crazy in terms of charging or whatever the case may be. I'm still charging my phone once a day, but still, just to offer faster charging speeds, but then a competitor that has slower charging on paper beats you by almost an hour, something just doesn't seem right there. I'm not sure if it's a bug or whatever the case may be, but other YouTuber or fellow YouTuber and just straight up awesome, genuine guy, Ben from Lover of Tech, he did a battery charging comparison where he showed the exact same thing. So it's definitely not isolated to my particular unit, but let me know what you guys are seeing for your Pixels in terms of charging speeds down below in the comment section. Now, just talking about this last con has been probably the second most divisive aspect of this Pixel, and it has to be the fingerprint sensor. Now, in terms of accuracy, it's not bad. I've never had a time where I'm trying to get into my phone and I'm just pushing down the fingerprint sensor and it's not allowing me to get in at all. It allows me to get in every single time. But my issue with it is that it's not as fast as what I'm used to. My S21 Ultra uses an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, which in the past has been a little bit slower than the optical sensors, but being more secure. Whereas the Pixel uses an optical sensor, and I want to say it's the same manufacturer that makes the optical fingerprint sensors for the OnePlus line of devices. And those devices, aside from the OnePlus 6 when they first introduced it, or the 6T, have always been really, really fast. So I'm not sure why the fingerprint sensor seems to be a little bit slow. I do have times where I'll kind of like brush it or tap it by accident and it'll unlock the phone super fast. So in my opinion, I definitely think that this is something that Google needs to say fine tune on the software side rather than it being a hardware defect. But I can say as of right now, I'm currently using Smart Lock with my watch just to make that whole procedure of getting into my phone just a little bit faster. So in the future, I would love to see either Google push out an update to either get this fingerprint sensor just to be a little bit faster when unlocking, or for the next generation of Pixel, maybe switch to an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor like what Samsung's using. Because the fingerprint sensor on my S21 Ultra has always been super snappy and super responsive to get into my device. So Google, in that case, definitely just take notes. So that's been my first 2 weeks with the Pixel 6 Pro, and I'm absolutely loving the phone. But does that make it perfect or without fault? Absolutely not. There's still some issues with Android 12 and things that just kind of pop up here and there, but ultimately, like, this is still a great device. I think that we need to stop trying to find the best overall smartphone and just be glad that we're living in a time where no matter which niche you're in, whether that's dual screen phones, folding phones, slabs, phones that are purely about the camera experience, you have options. And as a consumer, that's always going to be better than just purchasing the same thing over and over and over again. And the Pixel 6 Pro is literally just another great option. Doesn't make it better than anything else on the market, and it doesn't mean that anything else on the market is better than it. It's just another great option that you have when you go into your local carrier store or you're shopping for your next upgrade. So just keep that in mind, and if this is something that you're interested in, go pick one up. Use your return period if you have to, if you're having issues and bugs, or you can always just hang tight, let Google push out a couple updates for the device to see what state it's in. But that's gonna do it for the video today, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. This is Ike's Tech Talk. I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.